Good morning out there. Now, everybody knows I'm always making videos begging people to stop shopping because it's my belief that if enough people withdraw from this economic system, the wealthy men and women who own our government and run our politicians will finally realize that they have to start listening to people. And I'm going to keep pushing that message. But lately, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about not paying taxes, just refusing to pay their share of federal taxes. And I've heard this for I bet over a decade, but I've never really pushed the idea because I'm all about solutions that are sustainable. And if you don't pay taxes, well, the government can come after you. So my idea has always been to just get people to pull their money from this system by not shopping, because that's not illegal. You can't be harassed or punished by the employees of the wealthy, our government, for not sharing your money by shopping. So that's what I try to push. I want to push something that I know people can do and people can do safely. But I wanted to at least talk about this idea that people have been throwing around because I'm starting to hear it a lot more. Now, making yourself exempt from paying federal taxes isn't difficult. If you're not working for a company that just automatically withdraws the taxes, then you just don't have to pay your taxes. Or if you are working for a company that withdraws taxes automatically, you can just write exempt at the bottom of step 4 when you're filling out your tax forms, and they won't withhold taxes.
So, how do you claim exempt on your W-4 form? Well, it's fairly simple. To do this, write exempt on Form W-4 in the space below Step 4C. Once you've filled in your personal information and written exempt, you'll need to skip down to Step 5, sign and date the form.
Now, again, I'm not saying to do this because there is a chance you can be penalized, and it can also prevent you from doing things in the future, like you can't buy a house without the last 2 years of your tax returns or something like that. I forget. But I just wanted to go over how easy it was to stop paying taxes. But the real reason I wanted to make this video is to go over some reasons why it should be okay to not pay your taxes. First thing is this. You may think you're being taxed so that the country can collect money to help you and all of its other citizens. But unfortunately, that's not the reason. The whole reason this was started is because wealthy men and women wanted to use your money to fund their own enterprises. So in 1862, Lincoln signed into a law this policy of taxing citizens to help pay for the expenses of the Civil War. And the Civil War was being fought at the time because the wealthy men and women in the North were fighting the wealthy men and women in the South. And they were fighting because the wealthy men and women in the South were becoming too powerful and independent. And this was threatening the power of the wealthy men and women in the North. So the wealthy men and women in the North, who already made most of their riches off the backs of black slaves, decided that they were going to stop the wealthy men and women in the South from doing the same thing. The wealthy men and women in the South didn't like that. So the wealthy started a war and made all the poorer people fight for them. And to fund this campaign that was in place to protect the position of the wealthy and to keep them in a position where they could keep enriching themselves, they did just what the wealthy men and women do now in the present. They wrote their own law and had their employee, Abraham Lincoln, sign it into law. And this law said that on top of sacrificing their lives to help the wealthy stay wealthy, the poorer citizens also needed to start paying taxes to help finance the war. That way, the wealthy men and women didn't have to spend their own money on this conflict that they started. And basically, that's why you pay taxes to this day. You pay taxes to fund campaigns started by the wealthy to keep themselves rich. That includes funding whatever war they decide to start, funding whatever occupation they decide to come up with of other countries, paying back any loans that the wealthy may have taken out to help themselves, and a whole host of other things. Now, of course, to keep this ruse going, a portion of the money is used for things within the country, but that's only in place to fool the stupid people. Because when the people paying the taxes say they want to use those taxes for themselves, like using their tax dollars to fund a universal Medicare program that helps all of the tax-paying citizens, the wealthy send their employees, your politicians, out to tell you no. You have no say over how that money's spent because it's not meant for you. It's meant for the wealthy. So it should be okay to not pay your taxes because the money isn't being used for you. And it isn't right that a handful of wealthy men and women can just rob you. So why willingly give the money over? Also, when you look at how the money is being spent, you should also be able to stop paying your taxes because you don't want to partake in any of the sick, demonic, and immoral things that your money is being used for, like the current wars going on, for example. Right now, the employees of the wealthy, your government, have taken your money and they're using it to murder children overseas. Joe Biden keeps sending billions upon billions of dollars that you helped generate to drop bombs on children. Literally. I'm not trying to say anything for shock value. I'm just saying what's actually happening. Your money is being used to murder children right now as you're watching this or listening to this. Right now, babies are being blown to pieces thanks to your money. This isn't funny and it's not a joke. Children are being murdered because you are using your money to fund the murders. That alone should make it okay for you to stop paying taxes. I thought murder was wrong. Shouldn't you have the right to make sure your money is being used for something good instead of something immoral, disgusting, and demonic? Now, I'm not a religious man at all, but I was raised in religion, and there are some things that I remember. One thing in particular always stayed with me. There is a scripture in the Christian Bible that always stood out to me because people are always talking about how righteous they are and how they know that they're going to heaven or the rapture or whatever it's called. And I've always used this verse when conversing or debating with those types of people. It's in the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 21 through 23. And it says, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but only the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, 'Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, drive out demons in your name, and perform many miracles?' Then I will tell them plainly, 'I never knew you. Get away from me, you workers of lawlessness.'" I've always loved this scripture because if there is a God and this whole heaven thing is real, then a whole lot of people are going to be hearing this. Because there are so many people out there who profess to love God and to honor his teachings and laws and commandments, while simultaneously doing everything they can to disobey everything in that book. Let's say the world ends tomorrow morning. You get in line to be judged, you get to the front of the line, and you're asked, "Why did you spend your life funding war? Why did you honor the mercenaries who you call soldiers or veterans who partake in these wars and kill in these wars? Why would you honor killers? Why would you willingly use your money to fund attacks on poor children in other parts of the world? Do you think they're going to give you a pass because you said, 'Well, the government said I had to pay taxes'?" Imagine talking to God and telling him that you were just following what a handful of old, decrepit animals in suits and dresses told you. Do you think that's going to matter? God said, "Thou shalt not kill." So who cares what the government says? Are you saying that this one government is above God? The United States of America is above God? If not, then why would you continue to use your time and money propping up this demonic gang culture? I think that's one hell of a reason to not pay your taxes. So, if you do decide not to pay your taxes in order to revolt against this demonic system, then you already have two good reasons that you can use to defend your position. You don't think it's right that money is taken from you and used in ways that don't help you, and you don't have a say in where that money is spent. And you also don't want to pay money into a system that uses your money to murder children. Makes sense to me. Now, again, I'm not telling anyone to withhold their money and not pay taxes. My solution is to withhold your money from the wealthy. But you withhold it by not spending money in their stores. Stop funding them by supporting their businesses. The wealthy only have the money that they have to control our government and your lives because you give it to them when you shop in their stores. Withhold your money and get their attention. Let them know that unless this whole system is changed and it's used to help you get the things you want, well, then you just won't be supporting them. And if enough people do this, I think then they'll start paying attention. That's my solution. But If you want to stop paying taxes and you want to stop letting the wealthy take money out of your check to murder children and to enrich themselves and to destroy your communities and to destroy the planet, I fully understand. And if enough people start doing that, I'll jump on board and start doing it too. Fight back.